Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can work together to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. Today we have with us Pastor Stan Bunch. He's the promotional director, the executive director, if you will, for the state of Missouri. But many of you knew him before as a missionary to Panama, and he and his wife Brenda have been serving the Lord faithfully for quite a time. So, Brother Stan, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today on the Better Together podcast.
It's my pleasure to be able to talk with you, Brother Eddie.
Well, you guys have had some exciting things that have happened there in the state of Missouri. And so I'm wondering if you could take the time to share with us what happened in Missouri this past year with giving in particular.
Sure. For the last couple of years, we've been knocking on the door of $1 million in co-op giving. Of course, that would be co-op giving would be over and above the designated giving that our churches do. And as an aside, while I'm talking about this, we celebrate that this year, 2024, last year, we surpassed the $1 million mark for 1 year of cooperative giving in the state of Missouri, something that we have never done. And as far as I know, no other state has ever done. And I'm a little bit cautious about saying that because it can sound like we're boasting, and that's certainly not the case. We rejoice because of the faithfulness, first of God, and secondly of our pastors and churches for promoting this. And also on the heels of us realizing that we had surpassed the $1 million mark, our good friend and dear brother David Taylor in Arkansas also surpassed a milestone in their state's cooperative giving. And of course, we rejoice because that benefits the whole denomination here in the U.S. and also works around the world. So we are thrilled about that, and we would like for others to rejoice with us in what God is doing through this.
Well, I'll tell you, we're definitely rejoicing, and it makes it possible for us to do so many things. Let's talk a little bit about what's been the impact of cooperative giving. You kind of alluded to it, how it helps with missions and so many other things, but what kind of impact has it had?
First of all, when it came across my desk that we had surpassed the $1 million mark, immediately I wanted to know exactly where did this all begin, to give credit and honor to whom honor is due, because I'm not the one that came up with this idea, ministry, and there are certainly those who were in this position before I was. So I went back into our archives and started digging around, and what I found was that in the October 1941 minutes of the Missouri State Association, they adopted what they called the Unified Plan. But something caught my eye in that, and it was as was adopted by the National Association. So I went back into the National Association archives and found that between July 13 and 18, 1941, in Drumright, Oklahoma, the National Association received a resolution to adopt the Unified Giving Plan on a national level. So this actually, the Unified Giving and what is now known since the 60s, I think 1961 or 2, here in Missouri, as cooperative giving, actually started on a national level from the National Association in 1941, when it was voted in and accepted as a resolution by the delegates, and also the percentages were put in there in the minutes as to how that would be dispersed. And then in the Missouri minutes, of course, the minutes show how the cooperative giving was dispersed and the percentages of where everything was going. And then from that time, Harry Beatty, Clarence Burton, Nathan Rubel, Gary Fry, then I'm sort of the Johnny come lately in this whole thing of promoting co-op, but it has grown. Interestingly, after it was adopted in 1941 and 1942, the state association showed that they had $17 that they had collected in cooperative giving. So we can see that there's been quite a growth there. But the benefits of all of this and the impact is something that is worthy of rejoicing. First of all, the impact on missions. I'm not going to go back to 1941 through all of the minutes and figure out all of the numbers. I don't think that would be a good investment of my time, and I don't think those that support our office would want me to spend hours and hours and hours looking at all the numbers. But we did go back to the year 2000, and in the last 25 years, we have been able to give over $8 million to missions. That includes both international home missions and, in particular, state missions here. Now, over that 25-year period of time, we have given right at just a few $100s short of $20 million for various ministries. And so all of that goes to support church plants. It goes to support our state youth camp. It goes to support youth ministries within the state, retiree ministries, and in particular, something that is very, very beneficial is that every pastor whose church supports the Missouri Cooperative Plan at a 10% or a tithe level receives 2 disbursements to his retirement account at the Board of Retirement in Nashville each year. So now, in just this last year, we upped that to where it's $1,300, right at $1,300, almost $1,400 per year that every pastor whose church tithes to co-op receives that disbursement. Now, for someone getting into that when they're 50, that might not sound like a lot, but a young man entering the ministry, and if he stays in Missouri, supports co-op, by the time he's retiring, that's a considerable amount of money given the increase. So all of our churches in Missouri, all of our church starts in Missouri, that is 4 couples with 6 church starts, or excuse me, 6 couples with 4 church starts are all supported within the state of Missouri. In other words, there's Missouri supports them, and much of that comes through co-op. And then over and above the co-op is the designated giving that people give to international missions, to North American ministries, to the colleges, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're thrilled that we can come at this giving aspect with a multi-pronged approach, and it's very, very, very effective and very helpful, and we're so thankful for that, for what God is doing through that.
That's wonderful. And you mentioned, so initially it was $17. It's important for us to remember between these decisions they made, World War II broke out. It's also important to remember they're coming off the heels of the Great Depression. So they had limited resources, but they looked at this as a way of being good stewards, of the resources that they had. So you've done a great job explaining, how it's been a benefit. Anybody that's ever been to Missouri, there's a senior retreat, there's a minister's retreat, there's all kinds of things that you do or able to serve your people because you've got co-op. But the folks that are listening may be outside of Missouri. If you've ever received counseling through our Refresh counseling program, if you've ever received coaching, if you called in and you didn't have resources enough to buy your own Know Your Community, you've benefited from Missouri and might not have even known it. And so, Brother Stan, we just thank you for what has happened and how the Lord is blessed, and you've allowed yourself to be an instrument of His. Some of our folks are listening and they're like, oh, well, my state doesn't participate per se in co-op. Is there a way for them as individuals, as churches, that they can give in a similar manner?
Exactly. One of the neat things, and for me, this just thrills my heart. One of the benefits, and then I'll go back to your question. Every year we're able to have an evangelism conference, and it's totally 100% cost-free to anyone who attends. And this year we're going to have Brother David Crow in as one of our speakers. And we couldn't do that without co-op. We could not do the things that we do. And so we're trying to put things back. Our ministers go to the retreats at a greatly reduced cost, our retirees, our youth camp. We're just so thankful for, and I've got to brag on the guys that were before me, Harry Beatty, Clarence Burton, Nathan Rubel, Gary Fry. They laid the groundwork. Something we hear on a regular basis is that, well, our pastors and our churches want to know where their giving is going. They want to be able to designate that. As a pastor, and I've been a pastor, I would not want my church members to have that mindset that they're going to designate their tithe or their giving to whatever very favorite ministry they might have. And for those who might not have a cooperative plan in their state or in their association, there's the Together Way plan that their church, a local church, can decide. We're going to set aside, we start with a tithe. We encourage with the tithe because that's what God has encouraged us to do. They could start with a tithe of their general giving and sending that into the national office, the executive office, and then it could be dispersed through the Together Way plan, whatever. And it doesn't have to begin with a 10%. It could be a smaller amount, but supporting cooperatively the ministries. We trust our leaders to make good decisions. We trust them to be good stewards. And interestingly, every year, our delegates in Missouri vote on how we're going to deal with co-op. They vote on the percentages. So in essence, they do have a say in where the funds that they send in go. It does require them to be involved. They have to be there to vote. And so I'd like to encourage all of our state associations, our state leaders. We didn't get where we are by starting 2 years ago. We got where we are because someone had the foresight years ago to see where this could go and the benefit that it could be. And so for those who might be struggling a little bit with this and getting it encouraged within their group or their state, just start now. And someone down the road from you might be able to share the news that hey, back in the day, this brother started promoting Together Way, started promoting cooperative giving. And I believe that we can do great things if we will just cooperate together. We're seeing God do it.
That's great. And so just like in Missouri on the national level, each year at the national, in the business session, they vote on the breakdown, they vote on the budgets of each of our particular agencies. And we also, I think I should remind people, we have the Together Way Trust or the Free Will Baptist Endowment, which is broken down similar. It was the same process. And if people give to that particular fund, their giving continues until the Lord returns. And so just the interest is taken off the endowment and is dispersed between what is voted on that year as the cooperative structure. And so it's a way for your gift to give to all the agencies until the Lord returns, long after you're gone. So what a wonderful thing. And I think you did a good job, Brother Stan, honoring these people from the past in a difficult time, but they sure did give us a wonderful mechanism to support ministries and help us to be the hands and feet of Jesus Christ.
Could I interject something there? I don't have the paper here in front of me, but what you said reminded me that in the last week, we have dispersed money to our state missions program and to our state revitalization program that's coming from an endowment or a trust that was set up years ago. So the interest off of that is going to support ministry that and barring some type of a change, that will continue to be dispersed till Jesus comes.
Yeah.
We would love to see something like that happen, the trust and endowment to support the executive office and other ministries that we have. So those who may have an estate or something like that could include one of these trusts in their giving.
Yes. And so we encourage people to think about that. I think today we received a check like a little over $1,000, and the goal is to get the endowment up to 5 million. It's over a million, like 200,000, somewhere along in there. But truly, little gifts, big gifts, they all make a difference. And many of these people have passed away long ago, but their gift continues to give. So
Amen.
It's something to see how God uses people's generosity. It was His in the first place, but they're still giving, even though they're with Him. And some of them have been with Him for quite a time. So it's a pretty good thing. Well, Pastor Stan, thank you so much for what's happening in Missouri, for your support. You're on the executive committee of the National Association of Free Will Baptists. And so thank you for your service there. And thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you, Brother Eddie. And thank you for all that you do and your support of all of us on the various levels and for your ministry as well. We thank God for you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. And hey, we want to thank all of you who joined us today. Please take the time to share this with someone that might benefit from it. And remember, every little thing we do, it really does help. When we all come together, we truly accomplish more together because we are better together. Thank you.